Throwaway account because of reasons. Background. I have been in a committed relationship with this woman for almost 3 years now. We did move very fast, and we both agreed that we were ready to have children and get married. When we met, I told her that I wasn't dating just for the sake of dating. I wanted marriage and a family. My friends loved her friends loved me, my family loved her, and her family loved me. We definitely moved fast, and I will take full responsibility for that. We started living together relatively early on because she lived a few hours away from me. The warning signs came when we had our first argument. She worked with my mother at the same place and applied for a position that only my mom could approve. For some reason, it was not approved. She got angry with me and my mom, even going as far as telling me, "Screw the entire OP's last name family." And that became the theme of our arguments, which happen about once every 2 months now. She gets angry and says hurtful things. She apologizes afterward, saying that she's usually not like that. I accept her apology, and we try to move on. I understand that it takes a lot of humility to apologize after flipping out like that, and I try to acknowledge that. When we argue, she often gets angry and threatens to leave and break up with me. She would randomly start getting annoyed with people like my mother or close female friends of mine and create issues with them. I always end up caught in the middle, and if I don't agree with her side of the conflict, which I usually don't, she gets angry with me. These conflicts with people close to me usually last for a week or a month. She got pregnant in late 2022, and we were overjoyed. Shortly after, I asked her to marry me. Originally, the plan was to get married and then have a child, but things happened out of order. At the time, I didn't think things were that bad, but I knew she was going to be pregnant and would go through physical and emotional experiences that I could never fully understand. So I signed us up for couples counseling, and we have been going since early 2023. At our baby shower, she accused me of being attracted to and trying to sleep with one of her friends who came to visit for the shower. I was never anything but nice to the friend she was talking about, but I probably never said more than 20 words to her. One of my friends started talking to one of her close friends at the same baby shower, and my friend, who was going through separation with his wife at the time, ultimately decided to work things out with his wife. My fiancé sent my friend a picture of his wife's face, photoshopped on a pig's body. I found out about all this when he told me he wouldn't be going to our wedding anymore. When I confronted my fiancé about it, she got angry and went on a mean girl war path, including creating fake Google accounts to complain about my friend at his job and threatening to leave me and take the baby with her. She even contacted our mutual friends to check on me because she was worried I would relapse. I have been in recovery for years, and she never knew me when I was actively using. We had our first child in May of last year, and we have been adjusting to being new parents. While it has been incredibly stressful and anxiety-inducing at times, we love our little girl and wouldn't change a thing. However, our relationship has suffered significantly since becoming parents. Conflicts have become more frequent, and each time she threatens to leave, it breaks me down. We have discussed all these issues in couples counseling. To her credit, she has stopped threatening to leave after our therapist called her out on it, but she continues to mischaracterize me and downplay her actions in therapy, projecting her own issues onto me. She even suggested that I get anger management and claimed that my friends are too involved in our relationship. She has a group chat with her best friend, the mutual friend who introduced us. And that friend told me I was hurtful after she texted me when my fiancé announced her pregnancy, informing me about other men from my hometown who she was talking to or could have slept with before we met. I thought that was way out of line. Her best friend and another friend of hers always seemed to be adversarial to her resolving conflicts with people or being close to anyone who isn't them. Now she has a problem with one of my close female friends, who she asked to be a bridesmaid at our wedding. My friend asked about the length of the bridesmaid dress in a group chat and wondered if she could choose a different length because she didn't like how it looked on her. A few people agreed with her. My fiancé became furious and created another group chat with her two friends, who then attacked my friend in the bridesmaid group chat, calling her disrespectful and threatening to remove her from the wedding. My friend is very hurt by all this and told me she doesn't know if she still wants to be involved in our wedding because of how she is being treated. My fiancée is understandably overwhelmed from working full-time and being a new mom, but she is unwilling to hear another perspective on this issue. She attributes her problem with my friend to the friend being disrespectful, without considering any other external factors that might contribute to her anger and vitriol. I have suggested individual therapy for her, which she has done twice to her credit, but she isn't interested in ongoing therapy for herself. We continue to attend couples counseling and talk about these things. I also go to therapy on my own. I spend a lot of time with the baby when we both get home from work so she can rest. I feel like I am doing everything I can to make this work. But we always end up back in a situation where she has a problem with someone close to me and puts me in the middle. She can be so nasty and mean toward me and the people closest to me. Yet she is hyper-obsessed with planning our wedding and seems very excited about it. I don't understand it. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel defeated. I also fear that she will make my life a living hell if we were to ever separate. Her family lives 9 hours away from where we live, and I'm afraid she will take my daughter and go live with her family, cutting me off from her. I know that she can be vindictive, mean-spirited, and petty, especially when she acts like a mean girl. It has really affected me. But despite these incidents, she is usually calm, pleasant, and goofy. This is the same person who left her home to come live with me, who helped make my house a home, and who supported me through grad school. Above all the petty drama, she is a wonderful person who also made me a father. Should I attribute her behavior to immaturity and continue being the bigger person, hoping she will grow out of these behaviors? Am I blowing things out of proportion by magnifying her actions and overanalyzing every red flag? Is it worth breaking up our family over petty drama? Is the problem with me? Am I the one causing these issues? I need some words, experiences, and alternative perspectives on my situation because it's driving me crazy. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm going to ask you a few very pointed questions, and I want you to answer honestly. Do you want your child to grow up seeing this as an acceptable relationship dynamic? Would you be proud of your child if she grows up to behave like your current partner? Would you be happy for your child if she ends up with a partner who behaves the way your fiancé does? If you do not want your kid growing up to view this relationship as acceptable, as aspirational, and as healthy, you need to ask yourself why you should stay in it. Children grow up happier and healthier with separated parents that are happy and healthy rather than parents who stay together for the kids, only to model wildly toxic behaviors. Comment 2. So you don't want to admit you've sunk a lot of time, energy, and now DNA into a very hurtful relationship. So you're going to keep banging your head against this wall and trying to make it work. All you'll do is teach your child what it's like to either abuse someone or tolerate abuse. You'll forever be miserable. You'll lose all your relationships besides this one. She'll eventually leave you, and you'll die resentful and alone. Or you could leave now, split custody, and teach your child what it means to be happy in a relationship with someone who doesn't abuse you. Now for the update. Thanks for the comments on my last post. Things have escalated since then. Last week, my fiancée did something that shook me to my core. She took a gamble with our relationship, and it nearly cost us everything. She secretly recorded one of our private conversations during a heated argument and sent it to her best friend. Her friend, not knowing the full context, shared it with others. Before I knew it, the recording was circulating among our friends and family, painting me in a terrible light. I was livid when I found out. It felt like a betrayal of the worst kind. I confronted her and she broke down, admitting she felt cornered and wanted someone to understand her side. But her actions had consequences. My trust in her was hanging by a thread, and our mutual friends were now divided, taking sides in a conflict they had no business being a part of. In the midst of this chaos, my mother, who had been keeping her distance, stepped in. She had a long talk with my fiancé, which I only found out about after the fact. My mom, who's always had a way of cutting through the noise, helped her see the damage she'd caused. My fiancé came to me, remorseful, and for the first time, I saw genuine regret in her eyes. She promised to make amends, starting with a public apology to clear my name. But just as things seemed to be settling, another bomb dropped. My fiancé's best friend, the one who had spread the recording, was caught in a lie. She had been manipulating my fiancé against me, feeding her insecurities. It turned out she was jealous of our relationship and had been trying to sabotage it from the start. The aftermath was messy. My fiancé was heartbroken to see her friend's true colors. She cut ties with her, which wasn't easy. I could see the toll it took on her, losing someone she trusted, but in a twisted way, it brought us closer. We were both victims of her friend's deceit. We're still picking up the pieces. Our friends and family are slowly coming around and seeing the situation for what it was. My fiancé is trying to rebuild the trust she shattered, and I'm cautiously letting her. We're still going to counseling, and it's helping us navigate through this minefield. Thanks for reading. My roommate used my grandmother's china without asking and injured my dog. So I kicked them out and found someone better. This whole situation has become really uncomfortable, and I'd love some advice. My parents helped me put a down payment on a house. They're extremely generous and really understanding of folks my age not being in the same financial position when they were this age. I put most of my savings into the down payment and fixing up some bigger issues in the 1955 house. It's not massive and I'm far from work, but I have a stable roof over my head and a yard, so I love it. I was careful looking for a roommate. I interviewed 10 plus people and finally found a good match with my friend who worked in the same building as me. We knew each other for over a year, had socialized one-on-one outside of work, and spent a ton of time together during work hours. She was pretty quiet, quirky, and visibly a germaphobe. She's responsible with her money and loves my dog, so I thought it was a good match. Well, she moved in and everything changed. She talks nonstop. The best example is her talking through the entirety of Boy in the Striped Pajamas while I was watching it for the first time. She is severely lacking in adult skills, and I've had to teach her to do so many things ranging from using a gas stove to buying a used car when she crashed hers because she hadn't replaced her brakes in 5 years. Her phone is so old she doesn't have Uber or Lyft, and she calls me for rides all the time, most of which I say no to. She's messy, and I'm constantly cleaning up after her so we don't get ants. She bought a chair for her room but didn't measure it, so now it's been sitting in the garage for 3 months because it doesn't fit through the door. We've had multiple conversations about all of this, and I've been kind but honest. I'm a GM at a bar working 6 days per week, and when I get home from long shifts, I can't chat for 3 hours starting at 11 p.m. I told her to ask me questions instead of trying things herself first, and having me come home to the entire house filled with gas from the misused stove, for example. I'm a very outgoing person, but being at home means decompressing and keeping things calm, so my brain can recover and go back to work. Every time we talk about this, she says she totally understands, but nothing changes. I'm done. I threw a party at my house that she pushed me to follow through on when I was hesitant. She said she'd help with everything. She didn't help with a single task, and when I asked what she'd bought for food alcohol since it was BYO everything, and she was incredulous and said, "But I live here?" She ended up drinking 9 drinks from my 12-pack. Says she'll pay me back, but it's been weeks, and got visibly drunk when everyone else was drinking casually because it was a Tuesday. She is so annoying when she drinks, talking over everyone and bringing up really gross topics no one asked about. This time, it was tentacle dildos, and if they're worth the price. I eat meals in my room and try to avoid her as much as possible because I'm starting to resent her. I hate being home when she's here. Me going into the common area while she's there is a signal for her to immediately talk my ear off about the same topics over and over. She's juvenile and has the social awareness of someone much younger. I considered moving out and renting my room, but it's my family's house and I've put so much work and money into it, I don't want to leave. She moved in 4 months ago and requested a month-to-month lease. She's unpacking her last box today. I have another girl, 33, female, who's interested in living here, and we're obviously a much better fit because she's actually an adult with adult social skills. She can leave her living situation at any time, so there's no hard time limit. When is the soonest I can ask my current roommate to move out without being unreasonable? She's an adult but has very few friends, if any, in this city and can't afford to live alone. So I don't want to be a jerk because I find her annoying. Moving is expensive. Any advice on how to word it? I thought about saying the new girl has to leave her living situation quickly, but I don't like lying for my own comfort. Any and all advice would be appreciated. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. My sympathies. My sister bought a house when she was 20 years old. One of her friends became her roommate and things worked out well. Then, my cousin moved to the city in search of a place to live. My cousin offered to pay double the rent that the current roommate was paying. My sister was like, "Friend, I love you, girl, but business is business." The friend understood and they remained friends. I would not advise you to lie and say someone is offering to pay higher rent. But you could say another person is offering better terms. And that business is business, so adios. You are under no obligation to tell her what those terms are. Comment 2. This is so validating since our situations are so similar. It will definitely suck, and I think she's going to be devastated no matter when I do it. But at the end of the day, our friendship is a lot of me giving and her taking. So I'm getting used to the idea of her dropping our relationship more and more every day. I really appreciate your response. Thank you now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the update. So, the party was just the start. Last week, my roommate, let's call her Miss Clueless, decided to throw a surprise appreciation dinner for me. Sounds nice, right? Wrong. She invited over her friends who I barely know and cooked a meal. I came home to a house full of strangers and a burnt lasagna smell that could knock you out. She wanted to show gratitude, she said. But guess who ended up cleaning the whole mess? Me, of course. The next day, I found out she'd used my grandmother's china for this dinner without asking. One of the plates was chipped. That china was the only thing I had left of my grandmother. I was fuming but kept it to myself because what's the point? She'd just nod and apologize without understanding the weight of it. Then, 2 days ago, I came home early from work. I walked into the living room to find Miss Clueless and her latest fling making themselves very comfortable on my new couch, the one I'd saved up for months to buy. They didn't even have the decency to look embarrassed. I just turned around and locked myself in my room. I didn't even want to deal with it. But here's where it gets really interesting. The next morning, I woke up to find my dog, Buddy, limping. Turns out, Miss Clueless left the front gate open, and Buddy got out and hurt his paw. That was the last straw. I love that dog more than anything, and she couldn't even be bothered to ensure his safety. I told her she needed to find a new place to live. I was calm but firm. She looked shocked, like the thought had never crossed her mind that her actions had consequences. She started crying, saying she had nowhere to go, but I didn't back down. I felt bad, sure, but I couldn't keep living like this. The aftermath was her moving out in a huff, leaving half her stuff behind because she couldn't be bothered to pack properly. She left a mess in her room, and guess who had to clean it up? Yep, me. But then the new girl, let's call her Miss Responsible, moved in. She's the complete opposite of Miss Clueless. Cleans up after herself, respects my space, and even offered to help pay for Buddy's vet bills as a goodwill gesture. It's like a breath of fresh air. Just when I thought things were settling down, Miss Clueless came back. She'd forgotten some important documents and barged in without warning. Miss Responsible was there, and it got awkward fast. Miss Clueless started accusing me of kicking her out for no reason, making a scene. But Miss Responsible stepped in, helped defuse the situation, and even managed to get Miss Clueless to apologize for the china plate. It's been pretty hard on us, but things are finally looking up. I've learned my lesson about being too passive. From now on, I'm setting clear boundaries from the start. No more getting walked all over. Thanks for reading this far. My boyfriend buys me a PC, then cheats and spreads lies. So I kicked him out and made sure he left empty-handed. My 19-year-old boyfriend and I, 20-year-old, have been living together for a year. I basically have a connected apartment at my mom's house. I can't stand it anymore. He doesn't respect my house. He doesn't clean up after himself, leaves boogers on my shower wall, and leaves hair all over my sink from shaving. He doesn't see a problem with it. He punched a hole in my wall after we had an argument. He just doesn't respect my space. His personal hygiene habits are lacking. He never brushes his teeth unless told to. I refuse to kiss him because of his breath, and he gets offended, saying he doesn't tell me when my breath stinks. I usually respond to that by asking why not. I'd like to know if my breath stinks. He will tell me it's rude, and I tell him it's rude to try and open-mouth kiss somebody if your breath smells like you haven't brushed in weeks. Thankfully, he showers daily. He stays up all night playing video games and sleeps in until the afternoon, which has messed with my sleep schedule so bad that I now also stay up until 3 a.m. with him and end up sleeping most of the day too. I've begged him to fix his sleep schedule because it messes with me so much. I struggle with mental health, and if I'm not sleeping enough or have a messed up sleep schedule, I get super depressed. That, on top of the fact that the house is always dirty, just makes my depression even worse. Whenever I tell him how his habits affect me, he tells me it's my problem for not going to sleep without him, and that he doesn't get depressed from his sleep schedule, so he doesn't feel the need to fix it. I can't just go to sleep without him, not if he's yelling at his computer and stomping up and down the stairs to get food. I want to throw him out. We've talked about the possibility of him not living with me anymore. He told me our relationship would be over if he moved out. I asked him why, and he didn't really have an answer. Recently, he bought me a PC to play games with him. I'm not sure how much it's worth. It took him over 6 months to buy all the parts for it. Instead of birthday, Christmas, and Valentine's Day gifts, he would buy me computer parts. I'm thankful he got it for me. I feel bad about accepting such a big gift and throwing him out a few months after. I'd be willing to give it back to him if it came down to it. I'm not necessarily at the point where I want to break up with him, but I certainly can't stand living with him anymore. I can't keep letting someone negatively affect my mental health anymore. I'm trying to get on the right path by going to school and just getting my life together in general. I can't do it if every step I take, he brings me back 3 more. I just don't want him to hold that PC above my head when it comes time to give him the boot. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Let him hold things against you if he wants. When he's your ex, he's not your problem. I suggest keeping the computer because it was a gift and he didn't impose any conditions on you accepting it, like, you have to continue dating me and living with me forever in payment for this computer. Comment 2. Oh, girl. Kick him out and stop overthinking. Manipulative people thrive upon people who have morals, exactly because they expect other people to compensate for their lack of empathy every time moral people's morals kick in. Doesn't he deserve to face consequences? Give them to him. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around to hear more of this mess. So, the other day, I found out he's been lying to me about where he's been going late at night. Turns out, he's been sneaking out to meet up with some girl he used to know from high school. I only found out because I woke up for water and saw him sneaking back in. I confronted him and he tried to brush it off as hanging out with a friend. But I wasn't born yesterday. I pushed for the truth and he finally admitted it. I felt like my heart got ripped out. I was so mad I couldn't even look at him. I told him he had to leave, that I couldn't deal with his disrespect anymore. He begged me to let him stay, saying it was just a one-time mistake, but I wasn't having any of it. I was done. He packed his stuff and left, but not before he tried to take the PC with him. I reminded him it was a gift, and after a heated argument, he stormed out without it. But that's not even the end of it. The next day, I got a call from my mom saying she'd been to the doctor and found out she's seriously ill. She needs someone to take care of her, and guess who that someone is? Me. I had to drop everything to help her out. It's been tough, juggling school and caring for her, but it's family, you know? And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, my ex started spreading rumors about me, saying I kicked him out for no reason and that I was the one cheating. It's like he's trying to ruin my reputation out of spite. I've had friends turn their backs on me because of his lies. It's been a nightmare trying to clear my name. But karma has a funny way of coming around. His new fling? She dumped him after she found out he was bad-mouthing me. And his gaming buddies? They heard about how he treated me and the lies he's been spreading, and they want nothing to do with him now. He's lost a lot of friends over this. As for me, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I'm focusing on school and taking care of my mom. It's not easy, but I'm managing. I've learned a lot about who my real friends are, and I'm better off without him. It's tough, but I'm getting through it, one day at a time. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.